We're hitting 30. Let's go. If you know even just a little bit about bicycles, guys, just one look at the X20 will tell you that this thing is a unique beast. Seriously, this thing looks different, like a Cybertruck on the road. In this gray especially, for crying out loud, even Engwe's font looks like Tesla's. And then the logo, look at it. That's like a Tesla logo, isn't it? In terms of power, we have one single rear hub motor, 750 watts nominal. That means this thing can run all day at 750 watts, no fuss, no muss, and it peaks at 1,000. Although, based on the LCD display up there, I've seen this go up to 1,100, 1,200 watts, no problem. Check this out, guys. For a bike with such a small wheelbase, we have a triple suspension setup. Are you kidding me now? So in the rear, we have a coil over gas strut. You can adjust the air in here as well as the nut for the coil tension. And in the middle, it's actually, it looks like a gas strut, but this HLT 100 is a coil on the inside. There's no adjustments to it. You can technically adjust the nut here, but that needs to be pre-tensioned first. At the front, we have twin forks. You can adjust there's a lockout as well as the preloader. No brand hydraulic brakes, 180 mils, works great though. A single headlight at the front with a reflector. One of the things that don't really make sense to me is this rear suspension geometry. It looks cool, but this cantilever system takes a lot for the actual actuation of the middle strut, because this thing it's very stiff and it takes a lot of weight to compress. Even me at 180 pounds jumping on this will barely move this. And if you have a passenger, assuming you can sit, because this bike comes with a seat, but it's so unsafe, like there's no foot pegs, it's so close to the wheels, and it's also so close to the rider that I took it off and just use this as, because look at it, this is really a storage rack, and I think that's going to be a perfect use for it. But as it is right now, if you load it up with a lot of luggage at the back or whatever, it's still not going to actuate this really well. We have folding pedals. This bike, I forgot to say, weighs 82 pounds, guys, and it is foldable, but I think it's only to hide the extra battery in here. So this is the primary battery, and the secondary battery, you can see, is in the whole seat post, which is really cool because the seat post, as it is with the battery, is a fixed shape, so it doesn't rotate left and right. It's always pointing straight, which is great. But this, I think it's pointless unless you really want to load the bike in an SUV or back of a truck and your lack of space. You can do it at a pinch. We have an 8-speed Shimano Altus cassette. And at the front, we have twin-sided chain guides. For front and rear, we have knobby 20x4 tires from Chaoyang. One of the huge complaints from the earlier batches of X20s, no mud guards, and these came with them in the box. The seat is thick and cushy with a little bit of suspension at the bottom too. The handlebar is adjustable for height, and of course so is the seat. And guess what? The X20 can cater to riders from 5'4" all the way to 6'2". In terms of the cockpit, the only accessories that I added are the mirror and the phone mount, but otherwise everything here is stock. The handlebars are really nice, made of leather and nice and soft too, with a palm support, and these are bolted down so they don't roll around or spin around after a while. Thumb throttle, not my favorite, but it is here on the left side. And here we have the control panel for the LCD display. If you hold down power button for a while, you'll see the logo come on. And in this is bright sunlight, by the way, guys, and this is the legibility of it. If you turn on the headlight by pressing this button, it dims by itself. And it also has a light sensor at the top. I'm not sure if you can see that. So when the light dims or the sunlight goes out, or if you're traveling through a dark tunnel, headlights will come on automatically. You can shut that off in the settings, but that's by default. The control button up plus minus changes the PAS or the assist levels. I have mine set to 9 levels, but out of the box there's 5. You can even set it to 3 and even adjust the power of each settings within the personalization sub menu. When you press I, it will cycle through down at the bottom here between trip and maximum speed. That's the max 36.30. Hold on again. What was the maximum speed? That's the fastest I've gone so far, 36.4. Man. Average speed 17.4, and then you got total distance and then trip distance and the power. And this bar is also shows it in the graphical form, so how much power is contributing or how much power you're giving back through pedaling. And here's the battery level. There's 100%, and also the battery gauge is itself there. Now if you hold down I and you change change to different power modes. Like if I hold it down right now, it will change to sport. Up here will change to orange as well. Now this weird thing is the power mode lasts about 3 minutes, and then it resets to the normal mode, and it takes about 10 minutes cool down to go back to it. One cheat mode is to really, you can just power down the whole machine and power it back on again and reactivate once it's started up again. If I hold down I, it will activate sport. There is one more mode called Eco, and in this case it just lowers all the PAS assist strengths, but I tend to just normally leave it in, well, normal, and it's perfectly fine all day. In terms of endurance and power balance, I like normal. This display is really nice, guys, and you can adjust this on the fly to any angle depending on the sunlight direction. It's really nice and bright. Really one of the most enjoyable screens I've seen. And on the right we have the shifter for the Shimano gear set. We have to change down and change up, and one thing about the gear lever is really nice against the hand, always ready to go, and it's curved just right. At least for me, they're very comfortable. Cable management is pretty nice up front. The extra length right here is to cater to the extending central column right here, but once you get down to the middle here, check this out. What in the world is this? This is like so old school Engwe. There are new bikes like the Engine Pro 2 and L20 and 2.0 all have hidden cables on the inside, but look at this. What the heck, man. Oh, another thing that really makes the look of this bike is the mag wheels. Check it out, no spokes. Here's another look at the seat post / battery center column. It angles downwards this way, and some people question why the bottom here is so low, and the battery actually stops around here. And people are like, why is this so low? Well, this is actually the stand for when you fold the bike. The kickstand doesn't work in that position, so this is where you rest it to protect also the center crank right here. But it's not very elegant, and really when you go over some curbs, this thing will hit it, so you know, something to bear in mind there. If you have the seat post battery turned on, which I do right now, you have to make sure to press that button. There's another secondary brake light right here, which is really bright, especially in the dark. But if you have the seat post right here or the seat attachment right here installed, and the seat is low enough, it kind of blocks out the light. These are the headlights in broad daylight, but at nighttime they also don't have a huge disbursement area, kind of narrow, and doesn't throw very far. Woo, we're hitting 30. Let's go. Yeah, 34. That's all she wrote. Let's switch to sport mode to get up the hill here. Yeah, it's so easy with the sport mode. Unfortunately, it only lasts 3 minutes before it resets, which stinks. Wish there was a permanent on to this one. At least give us the option, right? I know you don't want battery degradation or want a reduction in endurance, but at least give us the option. Sport on all the time, eco mode all the time. 27 miles an hour, guys. Just steady state like this. So in sport mode, this is a slightly hill, like probably like 5% grade, and I'm hitting 26, 27. Easy in sport mode. 28, still going. Really nice and smooth, guys. Let me switch off sport, go back to normal. That's my favorite and preferred setting of the two. I wish I tightened this handlebar. So I upgraded the handlebars from stock because I felt they were too upright, and using your spine as the suspension really started to hurt, because if you're sitting upright and your handles are upright, that tends to be what I should have done. What I forgot to do is tighten the handlebars too here. So I upgraded it to a BMX style with smaller rise and adjustable height center column. Oh yeah, I need to reduce the power on this. You don't want it too high here on this bike, because you might get out over under you really fast. So I set it to 3 or 4 usually, and it's very manageable that way. So this bike is not really made for, you can hear all the clunking and all that. It's not really made for heavy off-roading, but you can tell. Do a hard ride right here. Yeah, you can. I definitely should have tightened the handlebars. I need to make a stop back home, or always bring your toolbar with your toolkit with you guys. So downhill here, it's really fast. If you're not careful, you just go off the slope on the right. The slope on the right is straight into the river, the Penobscot River. Thankfully, we have hydraulic brakes. Really nice and solid, guys. This thing handles the bumps really darn well. Okay, we're out of the woods, literally. Really nice. So yeah, I upgraded the handlebars. It's so much easier to ride now. It's about 1.5 inches or 2 inches lower. I can actually lower it a little bit more if I like. But I find that this helps me lean forward a little bit more. So I'm using my abs to absorb the impacts rather than the lower part of my spine, which is not it's in its best shape ever. So you know, everyone's gonna ride different, but most riders will definitely probably chime in and say if you want the best kind of absorption, is you don't want to be sitting vertical to take all that impact. But I'll tell you what, guys, this bike is very accessible. The power is accessible as long as you're in the power band and know when to tap into it. I know the handlebar is swapped out and everything, and that's not a knock on the OG handlebar and setup and all that, because you get a foldable handlebar and it's more upright. Some of you may like that, but for me, it's just I like it a little bit lower, a little bit down, cutting into the wind a little bit. And of course, as I mentioned before, my back thanks me for it. I'm gonna head home and tighten up this handlebar before it gets me in too much trouble. All right, back out on the road we go. And by the way, battery check. I have both batteries running and it is reading 97%. I'm not sure if you can see that. And I have traveled 6.23 miles. That's pretty impressive in my book. And I'm riding against the wind a lot. You can probably hear it in the mics and everything. It's brutal there, brutal. If you take this bike on any kind of like suburban road like this, well paved in a city street, perfectly fine, guys. Very comfortable, very smooth. The wheels are not that noisy. The motor is nice and quiet. Let me make a right here. Now, if you take the bike on this kind of road, which is more patchy, and technically this is a B road, back road, it is comfortable still. I mean, it's a little bit stiff when you go over like deeper bumps like that. Oh, it can feel a little bit, you know, but it's not as bad as a hardtail, obviously, or just a front suspension only. But with considering you have two coil and air suspension and a mechanical one in the middle, it's embarrassing that it's not like riding like a Rolls Royce or something. So it really takes a lot to get those things going, I'll tell you what. And so I think the only way to solve it is aftermarket, switching out those things. But we're talking stock here, and people who say this thing is comfortable, I think they're confusing the cushy seat and also the seat springs in the back, adding to that effect. I'm going to take us on a hill right here up ahead. I think it's more like a 20%, 15%, 20%, I don't know for sure, hill. And I'm right now on pedaling assist 9, which is the highest that I've set, by the way. Remember, by default, it comes with at level 5, but you can go into the settings if you want some more granular distribution of power throughout your pedaling cadence. Switch it to 9. There's also 3. You're like, oh, those brakes are solid. All right, I'm gonna try to start from 0 all the way up here as long as the traffic is clear. Okay, let's zero this out. And ready, set, go. Wow, it took a while to... Okay, cars are behind me, but I'll try to hit this. All right, so at the top of the hill, I'm expecting us to hit like 10 miles an hour, 7 on other bikes. So right now we're entering this around 15, 16, depending on what you're looking at, either the phone or the the bike, and we're still hovering at 12. That's pretty darn good. Usually I pedal this area, but you know, assisted, I leave it at 7 or 8 and pedal, and I'm able to hit a nice good average of around 19-20 miles an hour, which is, you know, the average speed for a really fit cyclist. So, you know, for reference. All right, I'm gonna start at the bottom of the hill right here. This bike takes a while to zero out. Oh, those brakes are really nice and solid. Oh man. Okay, zero out. It takes a while. All right, ready, set, go. No pedaling. Let's see how this goes. It's pretty steep. You can see the hills over there. It's really nice. Rolling hills. This is a farmland, man. Okay, we're doing 17, 15, depending on which. I would say it's 16 average. Still pulling. The motor just got a little bit louder, but that's about it. And I can do this all day, guys. I've mentioned this earlier too, that the motor is strong. It's unbranded. I'm not sure where it's from, but this thing can do it all day long. So the controller is doing something like balancing between giving you the power it needs and not throttling when it gets overburdened. But so far, it's giving me the power that it needs. You can see it's 1300 watts right now. Sometimes I've seen it 1400, worst case scenario, but yeah, the motor really, really nice here. Really good implementation. I just wish it was not a cadence sensor. If it was a torque sensor, I think it would be a really good pairing. So I'm switching off throttle now and just pedaling right now and assist at 9. It's a little bit too fast for me. I'm ghost pedaling at this point. And you know what? I do wish also there was like 2 more gears. This 8 speed is sufficient for most situations, but I think a 10 speed at the expense of cost, you know, but a 10 speed would have been perfect. We turn on sports mode. I'm gonna try to do this without pedaling. You can see the hill is practically filling the whole screen. This is probably like 50% grade hill. There's a difference, guys. 15 degrees and 15% grade. Still pulling. It slowed down. We're still trying to get up. It's holding at 13. And, you know, I'm not even sweating. Obviously, I'm not even stressed at all. But if I were to add some kind of pedaling, even better. And that's in sports mode. So right now we're sitting at 80% and we've done 10.7 miles. And that dropped drastically because, you know, as we saw a second ago, I was doing a lot of hill runs and 0% or practically zero pedal assist. Like right now, I'm actually letting it coast and it's just flying. 30 miles an hour, no throttle, no pedaling. If I keep up with the pedaling, it's really nice too. I'm getting a little bit of a workout, and the bike is just doing its thing. Really nice. See, like right there, when it went over that transition, because they were just resurfacing that, and there was the old patch and a new patch, that little sharp transition, the rear suspension wasn't doing any work. It just like hopped over the thing and called it a day. I'm not sure if it'll show up in the camera right now, but the sun is hitting the display right smack in the middle there, and you can see how legibility is like. It's kind of dim now, but it's still readable. And by the way, you can use these with polarized sunglasses too. I'm taking you to the riverfront through a back path. Okay, gonna make a right here and get under the bridge over on the right there. To pass this over to Penobscot, and then all right. These tires are not made for large loose gravel. You'll be flung off the bike easily. So watch how you ride, watch where you go, and stand. Right now, riding this like a good old BMX. These handlebars really make a difference. Wow. Tell you what, I do wish for a full twist throttle though. This thumb throttle is way too sensitive. Like, it'll come off really easily. Like, your fingers will come off of it pretty fast as you go over bumps. Oh yeah, these handlebars are also a little bit, a smidge wider, probably an inch and a half wider than the old one. So passing through that gate earlier, usually the aperture would be an easy maneuver, but I almost hit it, so, you know. But it allows me to spread out a little bit better too. You can hear the tire sound against smooth tarmac like this. It's not too bad. I mean, it's knobby tires, so for what it is actually not bad at all. We're just gonna head to the end of the pier here, right under the overpass there, and be done. Wow, that was hard. Look at that beautiful view, guys. Wow, the wind is blowing hard today right in my face. So right now I'm at 7, PAS 7. And the motor is barely kicking in. It's barely turning over, like just under half most of the time. And you know, it's well within my cadence of like 15 miles an hour. So you're barely in, at least everyone's gonna be different, right? But for me, at this speed, you're gonna be like stretching the battery a long ways. Oh, you know what it is? I was talking about how dim the screen was. I had my headlights on. Silly, silly, silly. One thing nice about going off-road versus, you know, if you don't want to pedal, you can just use the throttle and focus on, you know, getting your lines right. If that's your kind of thing. I like doing that sometimes if I just want to brake or whatever. This is really great. Just play around, carving, and that's all you have to worry about, really. Just be aware of the weight of the bike. Because all you need is like a loose enough patch of the road and you're pretty much done for. Can I go this way? I feel like I can. Let's go. Oh, that's bad. Oh. It's low enough. All right. Whoa. Let's hop that. Oh yeah, that did a little hop, but yeah, that rear suspension is just not soft enough in my opinion. Let's head through this again, and I want to show you guys something. So if you've been hearing throughout the video some rattling noise, That's not my gear. It's not any of the cables knocking against anything. It's not the forks. It is the battery. It is a, well, let's just put it this way, a feature of this bike. It's been known since the first batch, and Engwe, to their credit, has like added soft padding to the battery to prevent or reduce knocking. But oh, you see that slippage right there. But you know, the knocking is just not gone, and I've added more stuff. The fact is, it's quieter now still. It's because I added more padding too. Keep going this way. Let's go to town. Let's head to town. .5 miles at 68% battery, guys. And Paul Bunyan is on the left. Not sure you can see him. Just got a fresh coat of paint. Considering the bargain basement roots of the shifter, it's perfectly smooth for this use. It hangs sometimes, like between, at least I think I just need to adjust it between 6 and 7, but that's about it, sometimes. Yeah, you can probably hear the gear changes. They are pretty rough if you're accelerating hard, but if you let it smoothly do its thing, for the most part, is good. If you want to treat it like a speed changer, forget about it. Let's see if I can take you to Stephen King's house. It's where all the cars are. On the left in red, that's Stephen King's house, guys. Yeah, since moved, but it still draws a large crowd because, you know, it's Stephen King's house. It's pretty darn cool, actually. One thing cool about owning a bicycle or electric bicycle is, unlike a bicycle, you can discover things far from home too much, and also versus a car or motorcycle, you're going too fast to really appreciate things. So this is central Bangor, guys, like housing area. The houses are old, and really love riding through this or driving through this area. It's really historic. Battery check, 18.23, we have 60%, roughly. This is actually like the fastest I've seen the battery drain on the weeks that I've owned this thing. Only because I'm doing a lot of hard runs for you guys. 0 to everything on a hill and whatnot. Look at that hill. That was like steep, and it went up at like 16 miles an hour, 17. So you're talking about probably a 45-mile machine right here. Like on a day like this, the wind is super hard in my face, like pretty much every direction I go for some reason. And I'm doing a lot of hill. I'm just testing it to the max. But if you follow the way like I've been using it on average, just pedaling and being responsible basically, and enjoying, having fun at the same time, that balance, I can knock out 60 plus miles easily. I've done that. It's only today it's like, ugh, this bike is fun. Whoa, there's a deep rut right there, but the front fork soaked it up, guys. Soaked it up, man. All right, on this gravel, It's loose. Don't want to get into any of that. Normal mode, unassisted. Let's zero this down. Let's go. We're at 50% battery. For what it's worth, we're still getting some good juice. 1200 watts. It's definitely not as high as before. Usually this would be doing 14, but 1200 is still pretty darn strong for what it is. We're doing 13, 12 miles an hour, 11.5. Yeah. Definitely slower, a couple of miles slower than when we first came through it earlier with a fresher battery. Let's zero out again. Come on guys, catch up. Let's go. 1000 watts, 1100, 1300 watts. I saw that a second ago. 1200. Not bad. We're doing 17, 16. By the end of this hill, we'll probably be like 15, 14. Still 1200 watts. Nice. Throttling? What throttling? So for a bike that has admittedly a lot of unbranded, unknown sourced parts, like the front suspension, the rear, the motor, the brakes, this thing is well sorted for the most part. You know, aside from the cadence sensors set up with the pedaling assist and how much power you're getting, thankfully you can adjust that, but nothing beats a torque sensor for that kind of thing. But here we are in 2024, and we have a bike like this for the price that you're paying for. You're getting a lot, guys, a lot. One big question mark is longevity, like how long this will last. And Engwe seems to be growing as a brand, so my guess, customer service might be patchy initially, but you know, the more visibility they have in the country, customers are gonna put them to, let's see if this guy backs out or not, or sees me. Customers are gonna put them to their word, like, you know, talking about warranty and aftermarket parts. Those brakes are awesome, man. Those brakes are solid. When they bite, I'll tell you what, those hydraulics, oh my goodness. Of course, it's going to be higher maintenance, or you better know how to bleed your brakes, or at least have something saved up to take it to the bike shop. So I guess, you know, talking about customer service, warranty and all that, the other part is, you know, keeping up with the bike on your own. Do you have the capability to service it on your own? In that case, you save a lot of money on top of what you pay for. You know, this is above $1,000. It'd be nice to be able to save some of the cash for, you know, your next purchase, rather than putting it all in on frequent adjustments and servicing and all that. And so far this thing has been rock solid, even out of the box, very minimal adjustment. But you know, hydraulic brakes, calipers, the pads, especially all the consumables. You're swapping out tires, like if you're upgrading, changing out the handlebars, just adding it into your cost. And still, in a sense, you know, after all these upgrades, so to speak, the next thing I want to change out is the pedals, because they have no grip when my shoes are wet. But as it is right now, when you all in, it is cheaper than most bikes out there on sale, branded ones, like popular brands. So we're at 41%. We've gone 23 miles. Can do the math from there. Whoa, I slipped on that one.